Today I will explain to you about inventory management. Good business requires good organization. Inventory management is a key component of supply chain management and necessary for any business involved in buying or selling products. Inventory management supervises the flow of goods from manufacturers to warehouses to the point of sale. Keeping a detailed record of each new or return product is the key. It can be a very complex process, especially for large organizations, but the basics are the same regardless of the business size or type. First, goods are ordered through purchasing department, then goods are delivered to a warehouse, usually in raw materials and placed in stock areas. Then goods are pulled from stocks and moved to the production facilities to be made into finished products. Finished goods are returned to the stocks area, and finally products are shipped out to the customer through the sales department. Inventory management uses a variety of data to keep track of the goods as they move throughout the process, including a lot of numbers, serial numbers, cost of goods, quantity of goods, and the dates they reach each steps of the process. The objectives of inventory management are operational and financial. In operational, materials and stock should be available in sufficient amount, whereas in functional, the minimum working capital should be locked in. Inventory management software systems began a simple spreadsheet that tracked the quantities of goods in a warehouse, but have become more complex. For companies with complex supply chains and manufacturing processes, balancing the risk of inventory gluts and shortage is especially difficult. To achieve these balances, firms have developed two major methods for inventory management. It is just-in-time (JIT) and materials requirement planning (MRP). Our group will be focusing more to JIT, and it will be explained later by my friend. For now, I will brief to you what is MRP. MRP is Material Requirements Planning. MRP is a computer-based inventory management system designed to improve productivity for business. Companies use Material Requirements Planning (MRP) systems to estimate quantities of raw materials and schedule their deliveries. MRP includes calculating the number of materials needed for products production. Next is calculating how long it will take to get from the supplier to the production facility, and calculating when to order materials based on delivery lead times. Okay, now my friend will explain more about JIT. Thank you.
Whenever you buy a complex piece of equipment such as a TV or a car, do you ever wonder how exactly it all came together? Well, ever since the Industrial Revolution, that how has been a vital question for many businesses. Today we're going to look at how in post-war Japan, Toyota helped to create one of the smartest production systems that we have, named Just-in-Time. We'll look at how it works and how you can apply the philosophy and practices to many other areas of your business. After World War II, Japan faced some difficult problems. They didn't have a lot of cash, resources were scarce, and there wasn't a lot of free land to expand factories. However, Taiichi Ohno at Toyota managed to turn these problems into advantages by slowly creating the just-in-time system. The idea didn't come all at once, it's more that through the 50s and 60s, various changes were implemented and improved until the 70s, where the wider world began to realize the benefits and adopted a similar approach. So, what is just-in-time?
Thank you, Ainiena. Hi everyone, I am Salwa. Before we go further, I just want to ask you guys, what is exactly just-in-time? So basically, just-in-time is a system of manufacturing that makes and deliver what is needed, when is needed, and in a quantity needed. This explains on making the entire production system only work with what it needs and to minimize waiting time between each stage. Hence, the biggest saving usually made is in inventory. In more simpler words, JIT aims to ensure that the input of the production process only arrive when they are needed. Next, we move on to the next question. Why we use this just-in-time? What are the goals and objectives of it? There are two types of just-in-time. First one is just-in-time production and second one is just-in-time purchasing. My friends will explain later on in this video. Therefore, I am going to give you guys two objectives based on each type of just-in-time. The first objective of just-in-time is zero inventory. It means that there are no inventory stored where the production are processed only if there are orders from the customers. The second one is related to what I said just now. When there is no orders from the customers, means there is also no productions, which there is no materials to be purchased. That is the second objective, which is zero material purchased. Both objectives said can be put to simpler words, which is just-in-time goals is to eliminate waste, inconsistency, and unreasonable requirements to improve the productivity of the organization. Next, we move on to the most crucial part of just-in-time, which is the elements of just-in-time. Just-in-time elements is related to heijunka, which means leveling by Japanese. There are three elements of just-in-time. The first one is takt time. Takt time explains on how much time needed by the organization to produce product to meet the customer demand. For an example, one piece of product for every 22 minutes produced by the organization. The second element is continuous flow. In order to meet takt time, continuous flow explains producing and moving one item at a time. This ways of productions prevents the material to have slow or delay between processes. The last element of just-in-time is pull system. Pull system means providing the customers only what is required according to what the customers demand. That's all from me. Thank you everyone. Next, I am going to pass it to Afiza for more explanation.
Thank you, Salwa, Liyana. Next, I'm going to explain about the just-in-time purchasing. JIT purchasing is an approach to inventory management in which products are bought in small quantities to reduce the store inventory carrying costs and obtain delivery just in time for use. Or we can say purchasing is needed when the products are needed by the customer. Next is strategy to implement the JIT purchasing. The first one is supplier strategy by reducing the number of suppliers to a few and develop a long-term contract with the suppliers. Next is quantity strategy by encourage the supplier to produce in small lots and purchase small lot size with frequent delivery. The last one is quality strategy by encourage the supplier to use the quality check technique like process control chart or statistical quality control. However, there are two risk factors that need to be considered before implementing the JIT purchasing. First one is carrying costs. Carrying costs is an expenses related to storing unsold goods. In other words, it is an additional cost incurred in order to store a lot of inventories, where the more stock that you have, the more spaces or storage you need. The next one is ordering cost is known as cost incurred every time you place an order from your supplier, or in other words, it is cost charged by the supplier to prepare your order, which the more you order from the supplier, the higher the cost you will incur. Thank you. Next, I will pass to Syahirah.
Thank you, Nurafiezah. Now we will talk about the just-in-time manufacturing, or also known as just-in-time production. This is a method that focuses on reducing flow times within production system, as well as response time from supplier to customer. It helps the organization to control the variability in their processes and allowing them to increase productivity while lowering their costs. So how exactly just-in-time production works? According to Hirano, there are 5 steps in implementing the JIT system. Step 1 is awareness revolution, where the organization needs to give up the old concept that they are currently implementing and starts to adopt the just-in-time way of thinking. In addition, there are 10 principles for improvements under step 1, which will be shown in the video. The second step is 5S for workplace improvement. In this step, the organization needs to implement the 5S method, which I'm pretty sure that most of us have already learned before. The 5S are Seri, Seitun, Seiso, Saiketsu, and Shitsuke. Third step is flow manufacturing, where you need to produce one single piece of product at a time, but multi-handling, which follows the process sequence. Some of the main points in this step are to arrange the machine in sequence, and then to use U-shaped production line. And the third point is to produce one piece at a time. The fourth step is standard operations, where you need to produce quality safely and less expensively through efficient rules and methods of arranging people, products, and machine. The basis of standard operations are cycle time, work sequence, standard stock, and use of operation chart. The last step is multi-process handling, where one worker is responsible for several processes in a cell. Some points that should be aware is, first, clearly assign jobs to machines and worker, make a good use of U-shaped cell manufacturing, multi-skill workers, and operations should be able to perform multi-machine handling and multi-process handling. Besides just-in-time manufacturing, there are traditional manufacturing. In traditional manufacturing, an organization will predict the customer needs and produce those products in large quantity. This will result in long lead times through the processes, huge amount of work-in-process stocks, and also large quantities of finished goods that have not yet been ordered by the customers. This is called as just-in-case manufacturing. Furthermore, in traditional manufacturing, customer may have to wait longer for the product to be manufactured. This is because the materials needed may not be in the organization's current stock. In comparison, for just-in-time manufacturing, we just need to produce based on what is needed, when it is needed, and how much the quantity needed.
Now we move to the last part of the chapter, which is the advantages and the disadvantages of the JIT system. The first advantages is better customer satisfaction. By using JIT system, the company can increase the customer satisfaction as they are able to serve them with speed and efficiency. Companies have more control over the manufacturing process, which makes it easier to issue a quick response when the customer requests a change. Next, JIT system can help the company to reduce the costs. Storing large amounts of inventory can be costly, but lowering amounts of inventory the company keep can reduce the carrying costs. Companies that implement JIT system can reduce the number of warehouses they need to maintain, or even enable them to get rid of the warehouse entirely. Not only that, the JIT system can help the company to minimize the space needed. As JIT system purpose was to produce the product based on demand, hence all the items will be sold and there will be no obsolete item left in the finished goods section. So the company may not need much warehouse to store the products, and this will reduce the amount of space the company needs to rent or to buy, and the fund that they are previously used to acquire the inventory can be used elsewhere. Despite having the advantages, the JIT system also have several disadvantages. The first disadvantages is a risk of running out of stock. By not carrying much stock, it is important to have the correct procedures to ensure the stock can become readily available and quickly. So, in order to do this, the company must have a good relationship with the supplier. A supplier that doesn't deliver goods to the company on time and in
incorrect amount could seriously impact the production process. The second disadvantage is the company may require more planning. GIT system require company to understand sales trend and variances in close details. The company that have seasonal sales periods must plan ahead, for instance, to ensure that the suppliers are able to fulfill the requirements. Last but not least, a business needs reliable suppliers to sustain GIT approach. These suppliers must meet the deadlines to supply raw materials, which are very important to fulfill the orders on time. Additionally, the goods provided by the suppliers must also meet the quality requirement, because if the products are faulty or defective, it could lead to delays in production and increase in losses of raw materials and revenues.